get out of bed. Cheer up, the sun is red. Live, love, laugh and be happy.
Hello and welcome to this week's Robin Pod Weekly. Of course, it's great to have James Purling on board for this week's episode. And don't forget, of course, the Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of 𝗲𝗂𝗡𝗏𝗏 Rovers. James, how are you doing, mate?
No, I'm good, thanks, Chris. Are you?
Yeah, I'm delighted. And the reason why is, James, because 𝗲𝗂𝗡𝗏 Rovers are in the Challenge Cup semi-finals. We've been here, done that before, but I tell you what, James, it still doesn't get boring, does it?
It don't know. It's like third year on the trot. We've got to the Challenge Cup semi-final, then you throw in a couple of playoff semi-finals. Yeah, it just does not get boring at all. You know, still the same excitement that we had, you know, when we got that, when we were in about a couple of years ago. So, yeah, bring it on. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at that quarter-final, James, because let's be honest, it wasn't a clear-cut victory, was it? And credit to the Leigh Leopards. They really fronted up, didn't they? Especially in that first half. It was a real tough game for the Robins.
Yeah, it was. It had that feeling about it of being one of those days because, you know, I think we knew Leigh had come with, you know, with some strong efforts, etc. Because I think essentially that, you know, their season was on the line. Really, you know, they've won one Super League game, and you know they're defending cup holders, so they wanted to obviously hold on to that as much as possible. But yeah, it just had that feeling of just as though it's going to be one of those days, and it just seemed that whatever Leigh did just came off. You know, they were playing well. It was something like 96% completion rate in that first half, which is just, you know, that's just unheard of. And you know, they had, like, you know, Tom Amon back, and he was just outstanding for them. You know, he just made yardage after yard after yard, and yeah, it's just, in a way, I think, you know, we're fortunate to be going in just 8-4 at half time. And
yeah. I mean, James, in that first half, I put out on social media that at halftime, Leigh had done a number on us, because what they'd done is they restricted us, our ability to attack, didn't they? They were so quick.
Yeah, smothered us, absolutely smothered us.
Yeah, and that was a plan. They had executed their game plan to a T, and to you know, to be fair to Leigh, they did it so well. And Rovers really did struggle to sort of get any field position. But like Willie Peters has already alluded to this season, stay in the game. And that's what the Robins did. Yeah. They didn't let Leigh really get on the front foot in terms of the scoreline. And I suppose that's what Rovers fans need at the back of the mind, is that even when a team is sort of, I wouldn't say dominating us, but on the front foot, we've still got a bit more to come. And that is the Willie Peters way. But credit must go to Leigh for how they performed in that first half, because they did really do a good job on the especially in Rovers in attack.
Yeah. I mean, we just seemed to struggle to get out of our own half. But I think the big concern that we were having was, obviously, we're playing with the wind in that first half, and we knew we were playing into the wind in the second half. And I think we'd seen, obviously, the last two home games, the actually, you know, impact that wind, playing into that wind had. It just seemed to sort of knock Rovers out of kilter. But yeah, I mean, that defensive effort from Leigh in that first half, Rovers just could not make any ground, and yet Leigh were making the yardage. And yeah, you've got to give credit. Ultimately, then, got to give credit to Rovers' defence for holding out. Really, you know, that one try that O'Donnell got in, bit of a sloppy on the right edge, but other than that, yeah, the defence was solid. Which, you know, I think in years gone by, the Rovers of old would probably have crumbled, you know, with that amount of pressure coming onto them. But, you know, we've said it a number of times that this squad now is a completely different kettle of fish. And, you know, like I said, they're hung in the game. And I think it's a mark of a quality team when you can, you know, things aren't going well, but you're still hanging in there, and then you can just, you know, you're still within touching distance, and that's what Rovers managed to do in that first half. But as I said, the concern was playing into that wind in that second half, and just thinking now, you know, would Lachlan Lambie, he's basically booting the ball halfway down Preston Road.
Yeah, well, it's strange because neither team really managed to play the conditions. But I tell you what, that Joe Burgess try, wow.
Yeah,
the step and the turn of pace. I mean, don't get me wrong, Moylan in defence didn't exactly cover himself in glory, did he? But
he didn't. No.
The speed and the skill. I mean, that is why, you know, rugby league is, for me, that is one of the why rugby league is so great, is when you see tries like that. That is what you want to see.
Yeah, it was, and it was completely against run of the play. But I think once he'd made that break, you just thought he's going to score here. There's no way, you know, Moylan's going to get anywhere near it, and he didn't. It just absolutely skinned them. I think it was. I don't know. You sort of seen watch the replays back, and the one sort of looking down the field, and the look on Tom O'Meara's face when Burgess broke through. He just knew that was it. You know, that he just knew they weren't going to stop him, and he did. You know, and I think that's what Burgess has been like that all his career. You know, he has been able to sort of create get those sort of tries really out of nothing, and you know, I think it's great that he's actually, you can see him getting better and better, you know, every week, and you know, he's clearly enjoying himself at Rovers. You know, so I just hope, you know, there's talks going on behind the scenes to, you know, potentially extend his contract beyond the 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, on that, James, he's only on a 1 year contract. Obviously, he left Salford in, you know, circumstances were not fully aware of why he left, but they got rid of him. He came to the Robins. He looks like a player that, if I was another team in Super League and knowing that he's only on a 1 year contract, I'd be looking to say, well, actually come over to us. So for me, he'd be a player that I'd look to tie down, because he's already scored more tries than he did for Salford in the whole of last season, in the few games that he's played for the Robins so far this season. And he does look like a top quality player, doesn't he? And Hickey and Burgess to complement each other so well.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we saw on Saturday, that's something that we probably didn't really expect from Brady in his defensive qualities. I mean, that tackle he put on Charnley to put him, I think it was Charnley, wasn't it? To put him into touch. When we know how good Charnley is, and you know, Burgess, you know, give him a sight of the touchline, but then just nailed him into touch. So you know,
I think they seem to as well, James. I think they seem to enjoy the battle. Obviously, former teammates from the Wigan days, it seemed to be a little bit like, you know, see what you can do, see what I can do, and they seem to enjoy that little battle. And you're right, Burgess, his edge defence, it did really come to the fore, didn't it? Because there's a couple of times where he, when I see it, plays into touch, and he's a big boy as well, isn't he? Do you know what?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Through my naivety, until you see the players in flesh, but when you see him up close, and it was always the same with Sean Kennedy-Dow, I didn't realise how tall he was until I actually stood up next to him. And these boys, you know, Burgess, he's a big boy, isn't he?
Yeah,
you know,
he is. Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's he's definitely proved his worth so far. So for me, if I was Willie Peters, I'd be straight offering him a contract for the new season.
Definitely.
Like we said, James, that the first half it didn't necessarily go the way of the Robins. I mean, we saw a few controversial decisions, didn't we? I mean, that forward pass. Yeah, I mean, the Minchella one. I mean, also don't forget as well the alleged offload from Frankie Holton, which we all thought was a try. I mean, I've looked for me.
I've watched that about 4 times. 4 or 5 times, and I still cannot see where a Rovers defender pulls the ball out. It's clear that Holton's got the ball in his left arm. He's trying to offload it. He drops it, and Whitbread falls on it. And the fact that the video ref couldn't sort of say who'd pulled it out, you know, and he wasn't really sure. You could tell he wasn't sure, and there was no, you know, grappling movement to pull the ball out of Holton's hand. He just clearly lost it trying to offload it.
Yeah, and what you'd say is, James, if that happened probably anywhere else on the field, it would probably resulted in a Rovers ball. The fact it happened over the try line, you know, obviously the scrutiny is far more intense. But for me, ultimately, Frankie Holton's got a responsibility.
Got to hold on to the ball.
And yes, Elliot Minchella, I do think he made contact with the ball, but I don't think he made contact where he was sort of trying to promote it out of his hand or push it out.
No, it could have been just like a knocking, you know, just in the action of the making the tackle and pushing him back over the line. But the moment of it coming out of his hand, there was all the Rovers players were on the other side of his body. They were on his right hand side, and his left hand was out with the ball, and it just dropped.
Yeah, and of course then we saw the no try from Dean Hadley, alleged forward pass. I mean, you know, I always try and give the benefit of the doubt to the match officials to say, well, through their view, but the more you look at it, the more you think, you know, and it looked like it was Kendall who gave the decision. Normally, it's like them decisions, it's
into it,
they've got the perfect line of sight, and it did look like it was Kendall who made the decision, and the only thing for me is how can Kendall make that decision from his point of view, bearing in mind he's front on. It just seems I don't know.
It blew up fairly quickly, and like I say again, the more times I've watched it, I still cannot see how it just didn't look forward. And the annoying thing was there was other instances where there was clearly passes that were, you know, very much more borderline than that were just allowed to go. So, you know, and that's why I was saying at the beginning, it just felt as though it was going to be one of those afternoons. No matter what we did, things were just conspiring against us in that first half, and it just felt as though it was going to be one of those days again.
Yeah, do you know what, James? And I think this is the shift in our mentality. Even though Rovers weren't that great in that first half and Leigh got the lead, I never thought the result was in doubt. And I think it's this second season of 𝗬𝗖𝗎𝗄𝗏 where I've got so much confidence in this Rovers side that they're going to still pick up the result. And as much as it's a sort of a mentality shift in terms of the players and their expectation, what we should expect them to do, I think the supporters as well, you know, our expectation should be a little bit greater as well, because there's no doubt that this Robins side have got far greater depth than any Robins side we've seen for a long time. And
absolutely.
You know, I remember people panicking about the derby when you know that lot went a few scores and people thinking, oh, they might come back. Like I just never felt it, and I, even then on Saturday, I didn't feel, even though Leigh went in front at half time, that the result was in doubt. I don't know. Maybe we all need to maybe start believing a bit more in this side and think actually we're I don't know, we're getting somewhere.
I know where you're coming from. Totally know where you're coming from, but I just think it's because we've had so many years of just seeing, you know, leading positions drift away and lose out, that it has become ingrained in us, and it is that. I think you're right. It's that sort of that next step from, you know, becoming, you know, a very good side to being a bloody, you know, excellent side. And I think that is that next step we need to do and be able to do it consistently. I think one of my concerns is this, you know, putting in that 80-minute performance. I think you look back over the whole season so far, there's probably only Huddersfield away where we've had that. You look from minute 1 to minute 80, we've totally dominated. There's been patches in other games, not necessarily where we've been under threat, but just not seem to be as you know, consistent in attack, and, you know, sort of dropped off slightly. I mean, it's easy when you're playing, you know, the low teams at the bottom of the league, you know, at home, and you sort of put, you know, you're not going to lose. But the difference between, you know, the teams that, you know, are going to be grand final regular contenders for playoffs are the ones that just don't let the foot off the gas. And I think that's really where we need to be going and developing that, you know, being able to demonstrate it for 80 minutes. And,
no, I totally agree with you, James. And I do think this is and do you know what? Halftime was a perfect example of that, where 𝗬𝗖𝗎𝗄𝗏, you know, had a word with them. They went back to the game plan. So obviously, and we've heard it from a few times this season, haven't we, from 𝗬𝗖𝗎𝗄𝗏, where the Warrington game and where the team haven't executed the game plan 𝗬𝗖𝗎𝗏 has set out for them. this was another example where the players have sort of drifted away from what they'd all set out to do. Thankfully for us on Saturday, they managed to rein it back in at half time. 𝗬𝗂𝗡𝗏s got back in the rear and you know, managed to change it round. I think you're right. All I'd say is I think as well, James, that this is work in progress, isn't it?
It is, and it is. It's
that's what's fabulous for me. Do you know what?
It is great to see. It's absolutely great to see because you can see the potential that squad has got, and like you say, the depth we've got now is, you know, it's just phenomenal. You know, really, you just. You know, some like, you know, Dean Hadley drops out the other week, and you got, you know, you bring in sort of luckily straight back in, and came back in, and even the weekend you bring in someone like Tennyson in, even though they didn't get on. The fact that you're able to bring somebody like Tennyson on, you know, into the squad and have the confidence that he would be able to contribute is a great thing. Yeah,
I mean, to be fair with that Tennyson one, it's gone a little bit under the radar, isn't it? Because I was so looking forward to seeing him out on the pitch. And the fact he didn't get on, I mean, to be fair, it was still a great experience for him in terms of being around.
Oh God, yeah.
And seeing, you know, being in the change rooms and I dare say if the scoreline was more flattering for the Robins, would have probably seen him. I couldn't understand what the people was thinking in that, you know, if he went onto the pitch, bearing in mind this was a Leigh side who were playing really well, they could have potentially exposed him for his youthfulness and his lack of experience. So I understand why he didn't come on. But that halftime team talk from 𝗬𝗂𝗡𝗏s was so important, wasn't it? Because the second half Robins was so different from the first half. And,
it's totally different,
I don't know what you thought, James. I think Mikey Lewis was really important in that second half in terms of when we got penalties, he tapped it and ran. He was taking the ball from the hooker position, and he is making things happen for the Robins. Now, whether that's in making things happen with a pass of the ball or whether he's running start, he's making things happen, and he's a player who's really coming into his own at the moment.
It is, and you can sort of see that maturity. And I think, you know, I think 𝗬𝗂𝗡𝗏s was in the press conference this week about, you know, the impact that just being part of that England setup at the end of last year has had on Mikey, and sort of seeing him actually maturing as a player. And I think, you know, we always knew he'd got it in it because we've obviously seen it, but I agree, he has gone to a different level this year. I think, you know, the first half he was quiet, but then a lot of other players were quiet. But saying that second half, he said, right, I'm going to do something about this, and took the game by the scruff of the neck. And that, you know, just simple things like that, having the wherewithal rather than just getting that penalty and just booting it into touch and thinking, okay, we might make 10 yards, but at least it's in touch. But to actually just tap it and catch the Leigh defence on the back foot. And it made, was it 30, 40 yards just from that one thing. And suddenly the whole momentum of the attacking goes, and you know, Leigh suddenly all scrambling back rather than having a penalty, you know, where the attack penalty after it's gone into touch where they can reset. You know, they're suddenly under a lot more pressure. And it's just that thing, that little spark that, like I said, we know he's got, and it's just saying, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and do something about it.
Yeah, and we, I mean, as good as Mikey Lewis has been, that's on the back of Tyrone May, giving him the platform to play his style of rugby. And we saw in the 48th minute, we saw Burgess go over for his second try after a Tyrone May pass to 𝗬𝗂𝗡𝗏. 𝗬𝗂𝗡 taps it on to Burgess, and Burgess finishes with a plum in the corner. I mean, fantastic.
I mean, again, that was just a class winger try. You know, he still had a lot to do, but you know, the quality of the Burgess just, you know, he got it down. But it was just that build up between May and 𝗬𝗂𝗡𝗏 that created that. And you know, I saw some comments from people sort of saying, "Oh, he didn't really do much," but you know that what he did there, he just set that in motion. And that the pass to 𝗬𝗂𝗡 was sublime. And then he just gave 𝗬𝗂𝗡 that space to then put Burgess in, great Burgess, some more space to then go and score in the corner. And he took it really, really well.
Yeah, and James, I mean, next try was from 𝗪𝗓𝗏. I think, 6 minutes later after that. I mean, 𝗪𝗓𝗏, he's running some great lines up.
No, he is, yeah.
He's, I don't want to put him in the bracket, of course. He shouldn't be anywhere near the bracket of the Newtons, the Lynetts, you know, the Villiers. But what he's showing us is the skill set he's got in terms of his ability to run good lines, to run fast, to run strong, and to be fair, he's getting some great service. Don't get me wrong, he's running the line, but someone's feeding him. But Tkanganoa, I mean, he's really becoming an important player for the Robins.
He is, yeah, and I think he's been a great sign. Yeah, has been a great signing. And I think I think there's somebody had question marks over him before he came because of his injuries, except injuries he had last season, etc. But this season, you say, he has got a different. He just brought a different level to the whole side, that left hand side. Just makes it look so effortless. And he said, just running some great lines, and he scored like try like in the derby in round one. And as soon as he got that ball, there was no way anybody was going to stop him. And the sidestep to go around Moylan again. I think it's quite deceptively fast as well for a big guy. He is. I think he's very fast.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, James, the Robins, and this is, I suppose, what we've already been talking about. That sucker punch where the Leopards opened us up for Hanley to go over for that try. I mean, you could see it happening if you were stood in the East Stand, well, wherever you were sat. You could almost see the space unfolding for Hanley, and they went over. And I suppose they're the coach killers, aren't they? Where the Rovers get on the front foot, start to show a bit of dominance, and then there's a sucker punch from the Leopards, as good as they was. But I suppose they're the tries where we need to try and cut out, aren't they? Because they're the ones that ultimately can come back and bite you.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't that on the back of the Tyrone made us allowed try for Lytton being downtown? That was
I mean,
so it just shows you how fine margins it is that between having a opening a six extra point lead to being just 2 points ahead. And it was. I
don't know, what do you think about that downtown? Because there's no doubt Lytton was in the Leigh line, but if you watch the full track, the sequence of play, he didn't actually affect the play, did he?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't get involved at all. And I think no, he didn't know. And I think you got to give credit to Kendall for spotting it and getting it to.
Oh, it's a great spot from, because if he was in the stadium,
you wouldn't have seen it. Yeah,
you wouldn't have seen it.
But when you look at it again, it just does not get involved. It moves. Mikey Lewis goes past him anyway, leaves Lytton in the defensive line. Then they set it up for putting the kick through for May to score. And I think obviously in the ground when he went to the video, ref thought, he's looking for Tyrone maybe onside. Which, when you look at the video, it was miles onside. But then when they went further back and disallowed it, it wasn't just a bonkers decision. By the letter of the law, it was right. But then, is that something about the law that needs to be amended to sort of say, well, if you're not interfering with play or not getting involved, you just
it seems just like a hard and fast rule where you think actually is a scope to have, I don't know, a little bit more scrutiny in terms of whether the player became involved. Because also as well, don't forget, you very rarely see Ryan Hall put a kick through. And he's his skills not being credited there. So it was a shame, but like we saw.
I mean, the irony was that if it was only spotted because May had scored the try. If they'd been tackled 5 yards from the Leigh line, there would have been no penalty. Leigh would have handed the ball over, and they would have been in a worse position.
Yeah, it's a great point, and that's the scrutiny. I mean, although Leigh went in, then we saw 𝗫𝗫𝗄𝗏 come in for a try, and what an important player he's been for the Robins, James, especially moving to fullback. I think. I understand what Willie Peters was doing with Hiku and why he put him there, but I love seeing Evans pop in on the right, on the left. As soon as you see him there, you just think something's going to happen.
Yeah, it is. You can see what Peters was doing before the season, but now he's got Hiku playing out of his skin in the centre where he clearly is a centre, and Evans playing out of his skin at full back, and I think probably just causing panic amongst opposition defenders every time he gets the ball, because he's just so quick, he's so elusive, because he's got that eye for that small gap that within a blink he's through and away. And then if you got you got 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 and you got sort of Burgess following up, more often than not, it's going to end up in a try. If 𝗲𝗏 doesn't score, it's going to get out to one of the other guys coming through.
Yeah,
we
saw him in 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗴𝗏 with the final try of the game. Some really big performances, but I suppose, James, one player who has gone under the radar for a long time and just consistently puts in performances week in, week out, Dean Hadley. He gets more position. Sometimes I expect him to see him on the wing, centre, second row, prop. He's just someone who can do a job anywhere. But it's testament to him, is it, that 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 said that I think when he became head coach, that one of the first players he spoke to was Dean Hadley, and he told him how important he'd be to the side. And for Dean as well, I think what's important for Dean Hadley, James, is that he seems to have these little niggle injuries that he used to suffer from, where he'd be in and out. They seem to be getting less and less, and he seems to be getting a bigger run in the team. And as a result of that, his consistency in terms of his performance seems to be getting better and better. And he's a fantastic player for the Robins. I don't think he's ever someone who's going to get man of the match. No. But I tell you what, his performances lay the foundation, along with some other players, lay the foundation for the Robins and some better players to go on and do what they do.
No, I totally agree. He's just come on to another level this season. And like I say, he's not one of those players who you instantly jumps out of the spotlight at you. But he's probably the sort of player that every club needs. You look at every club that was probably successful over the years, they've always had someone like a Dean Hadley who just gets through, all the grind, all the grunts, does it in an efficient way, doesn't really get any glory, but when he's not there, you miss him. And I think, if you talk to all the other players in the squad, he's the sort of player who, they want him in that squad and they want him in that team. And it's just this engine. It's just the engine he's got. You think he'd play like he's got no cause up playing 80 minutes, and you could see him do that week in, week out. He's one of the he's a top player.
To be fair, James, I think he could play 160 minutes. I think he'd play as long as
exactly.
I think that's the kind of kid he is.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got Steve Brady from Catalan Media coming up very shortly to talk about, of course, the Robins playing the Dragons on Saturday. The semi-final draw, James, Wigan Warriors. We've been there before, haven't we? Of course, last season, that famous victory at Headingley. It's been announced that the Robins are going to be playing them at Doncaster. By all accounts, it's going to be an absolute Rovers fest, isn't it, in terms of ticket sales? And it's going to be probably akin to a home game for the Robins. And that said, the game's played on the pitch, not in the stands, isn't it? And Wigan Warriors have obviously shown themselves to be world champions and well deservedly as well. Yeah. So it's going to be a very difficult game. What did you make of the draw?
It was probably inevitable, really, wasn't it? If you look at the teams that are left, it was probably obviously the hardest team left in the competition. I think, we've obviously played Huddersfield this season and beaten them fairly comprehensively. We've played Warrington, lost to them, but should have beaten them. And I think, they've progressed as we saw on Sunday against Saints. So, but, as we saw last year, we went into that semi-final last year. To the total underdogs. Nobody expected Rovers to put performance in or to even get close to Wigan. And that day we scored 2 tries to 1. So we can certainly do it. We're not going that game with nothing to fear. I think I was going to say, James, I think you've just probably hit the nail on the head there. We went into that semi-final last season with hope. Yeah, with maybe not expectation. No, I agree. I think the previous year when we played Huddersfield, we'd gone there with the expectation we're going to win, and we just didn't turn up. Last year, I think we'd gone with if we put a good performance in, we'll get close. But they played out of the skin. And again, there's no reason why we shouldn't feel as though confidently, we're confident enough to go in there and beat Wigan. I think we showed last season that, we beat them, obviously beat them in the semi-final, beat them at home. I think, obviously discount the away Super League game. And I think in the semi-final, we just didn't really, we were still on the coach, weren't we, by the time they were 18-0 up. But no, I think, we're going to be looking at Rovers and thinking, yeah, it's going to be a tough game. We've got to be on our A game to beat Rovers in that semi-final. It's, like I say, it's semi-final. Anything can happen. The Doncaster Rovers with something like 15,000. Hopefully it's going to get a full house. In which case, it is going to be mostly Rovers fans. It's all covered. I think, believe so. That's going to sort of help with the atmosphere. Yeah, we can go there with confidence.
Yeah, definitely. And that, that's just over a month away, that game. Before that, Rovers have got a really tough run of fixtures, starting up with the Catalan Dragons on Saturday evening. People on social media, they may know Steve Brady from Catalan Media. I caught up with him early today to discuss the Robins game against Catalan Dragons on Saturday. Steve, welcome to this week's Robin Pod Weekly. How's life in the south of France at the moment?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Yeah, bit of a hiccup last week for the Catalan Dragons against Huddersfield Giants, so that was a bit of fly in the ointment. But so far, so good this year. The weather started picking up now. I know your supporters are looking forward to coming this Saturday into the sunshine. So yeah, life is good. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So I think you reported they're expecting over 1,000 Robins down in the south of France for the game on Saturday, and most of them will be surely on their phones now looking at the weather forecast. What can you predict for us, Steve?
Well, there's going to be sunshine. It'll be dry. It won't be wet. It's not as warm. Last week against Huddersfield, 30 degrees. You could see when the Giants arrived, the players on the pitch were thinking, gee, can I play in this? But funny enough, Catalan suffered more from the heat than Huddersfield. So this weekend, 22, 23 in Perpignan, but very strong sun. Bring the sunscreen and just keep covered up a little bit on those shoulders because it might be a shock to the system. Very strong sun this time of year. So be careful. Those robins will be very red on the way home.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, that's great advice because as I look out my window now, I can see rain hitting the window panes. I can see the tree blowing. So I think there will be in for a bit of a shock because the weather, British people and the weather, it's always things to talk about. But I tell you what, I know that we're getting sick of it. Anyway, plenty of sunshine, hopefully, and warm conditions in Perpignan on Saturday. What have you made to the Catalan Dragons start to the season so far, Steve? They've only lost, 2 games this season. Of course, the most recent one, the Challenge Cup quarter-final defeat to Huddersfield, but they seem to have made a very strong start.
If you'd have asked me that question 7 days ago, as I said, so far, so fantastically good. Played good teams, beat top teams, looking good. Jordan Abdul was flying. You know a lot about that guy. And he was trying to get some kind of relationship forged with 𝗕𝗏𝗏, and we got Nick Arima in the background. So we had depth and strength, and we were flying. Not really getting massive wins, but getting the points and top of Super League, it. And then last week, the wheels came off. So all this time that Steve Max created this consistent performance from Catalan Dragons, just we're hoping it's a bit of a blip last week because I'm not sure many people expected that. Even Ian Watson in the post-match press conference told me that he expected it and the players expected it. But I don't think so. Certainly not that scoreline. So I think that the French supporters were stunned. The players afterwards, Steve Mack was stunned. We're in the press conference after the game, and some French journalist was brave enough to ask him. He didn't know Steve very well. Do you think the players took the foot off the gas after beating Saints the previous week? And Steve wasn't happy about that at all. Not at all. No. You know what Steve's like. He put him in his place and said, "Not at all. No." And I think that message will come through at training this week. In fact, I know it's come through at training this week. It won't happen again. That you're a very, very good side, 𝗪𝗂𝗧, and you're capable of doing that. And you've beaten us in the past with great performances, normally with Jordan Abdul in the side. But I think you'll see a Catalan Dragons that we've had in the opening rounds and not necessarily last week's Dragons. So you will see a response. Steve won't allow a similar kind of 60%, 50% performance. It's not Steve's style. And I think now the cup's out the way. It's the old cliche, and they're going to focus on the league. But genuinely, you'll see a very strong and a very passionate Catalan Dragon side on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they went so close last season, didn't they? They missed out on the League Leader Shield by points difference. And then, of course, that grand final, Wigan pipping them in the end. There's a bit of transition in the summer as well, weren't they, with quite a few players leaving and players coming in. I mean, that new halfback partnership, of course, which is never easy to bed into a side. What did you make to the changes in the summer, in the pre-season?
He takes so many top players, and you know, the obvious one is Sam Tompkins. You take Sam Tompkins from any team, it's going to be a real loss. But then Adam Kieran in the surprise package we uncovered from NRL, he was brilliant for us, a points machine last year. I think he is more of a loss than any of them. Tyrone May, of course, who was so creative for us. And I know 𝗬𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀, you love him to bits, and he's been fantastic for you. People keep saying he's playing in a dinner suit. I keep reading that every 5 minutes. And it's good to see. He's a good guy, Tyrone, and it looks like he's enjoying it under Willie Peters there. He's giving him that freedom which he needs, because he is an individual player who creates things off his own bat. And we'll lose Mitch Pearce too, and we'll lose Jackie Chan, and was it 7 players last year? So the transition, it's not so much a transition, it's a complete overhaul. We got players in like Tariq Sims and Jaden Nikorima, and these guys, Bailey Suranen, not necessarily superstars of the NRL. You know, Tariq's come towards the end of his season. Bailey Suranen's got some mileage ahead of him. And I think Nikorima's come here with a real burning mission to prove himself back in the NRL, because he was a flyer until 1 or 2 issues put him off the running list. Then I think he'll be the one this weekend to look out for, because he's under the radar a little bit. We all talk about Jordan Abdul and 𝗂𝗧𝗏𝗏. I think Jaden's due a big game. He had a match against Huddersfield last week, which, like all the rest of the players, you can forget about. But I think he'll be putting that right on Saturday. I think keep your eye on Jaden Nikorima, and keep your eye on Tariq Sims, because I've heard he's going to do a George Williams type of tackle on Mikey Lewis if he can get hold of him. So that's something to look forward to.
I was going to say that's the big if, because at the moment Mikey Lewis is running red hot. So you know, being able to lay a glove on him is easier said than done at the moment. I mean, out of all of that business there, it's Jordan Abdul probably the one who grabbed most attention on a season-long loan deal, with Catalan having the option to effectively buy him out of his contract and make the deal permanent. What have you made of him down in the south of France, and how he's performed so far this season?
Well, instantly got sunburned, because he's a blonde lad. As soon as he got here, he went bright red. Nice guy. I think he's come here to find a little redemption and get out of the fishbowl of Hull and rejuvenate his career, because we all know, I don't need to tell you how gifted he is with his skills. He's just been the injuries and the problems he's got back home. We all hope, and I think he certainly seems happy here, that it could rejuvenate his career, and we can all see that the skills that he's obviously capable of. Of course, he's picked up the hamstring now. You know, the other week against St Helens, I was there, it was the 7th minute of the game. You know, and I was on the touchline doing a bit of TV reporting, and he was absolutely mortified. He's thinking, not again, I'm injured again. He said, patch me up. And you know, an hamstring, you can't go back on. Yeah. They wrapped him up, and I said, are you going back on, Jordan? I hope so. But since then, he's torn a bicep muscle in the hamstring. So it could be hopefully 4 weeks out, maybe even 6. So we're gutted for him. I think he started like rabbits in the headlight. We didn't see the signing coming, but he's landed here, and he looks content as I've seen him play, and he's absolutely gutted that he can't be on the pitch this weekend. Yeah,
and people who are listening and watching to this will, you know, it's sort of same old story. You know, we hate to say it, you know, a player who's supremely talented, you know, couldn't win a game of his own, and whatever seasons, you know, and the fact we've got into April, you know, most Rovers fans won't want to say it, but it's almost like told you so, and it's such a shame, because we want to see him out on the pitch. You know, we want to see him thriving, and I mean, thankfully for Rovers on Saturday, he won't be playing, because obviously he'll have come out with maybe a big point to prove. So it'd have been a game that I'd have been looking forward to. I suppose, Steve, this is a bit of a daft question, but what is it about the lifestyle down in Catalan that attracts players to go down? And, you know, in Jordan's case, it maybe was seeking redemption, getting out the goldfish bowl of Hull, and for the Aussies who'll go over and the New Zealanders, it's a bit of the sunshine and maybe the laid back lifestyle. What do you think it is about the lifestyle down there that attracts so many players, good and good quality players as well?
Yeah, again, it's another cliche. It's the sunshine, it's the culture, it's the south of France, it's the beaches, it's the mountains, the skiing, all of that. Yeah, we all know that. But I think the thing that surprised us, and we moved out here 7 years ago, we didn't realise the depth of rugby league culture over here, the small amateur clubs, and the real passionate fervour that people in this region it's called Roussillon, this little triangle where Perpignan is the major city. And there's so many fantastic clubs at 𝗕𝘂𝗱𝗏, they call it over here, Game of 13. And the passion that they have, if you're a rugby league professional and you're brought up in Hull or Wigan or Warrington, I don't think you're fully aware when you come here how much love they have for rugby league. And I think that is the big surprise. As I say, not every player takes it. Usually it's family reasons. If they've got young kids and they're missing family, or the wives want to go back home, and we all understand that. That's totally natural. But if you love the good things of life, like the real good culture and weather, and it's beautiful here, and it's got this massive bonus of a depth of passion for rugby league. And don't forget, over here, rugby union's king. Rugby union is God here. Football first, and closely followed by rugby union. And they're not real big fans of rugby league in France. We do get slapped down quite a lot. But this region, this Perpignan region, Toulouse, and all the Carcassonne and Lesignan, it's a hotbed of rugby league. So if you're a professional rugby league player, you think, I'll go and have a couple of years in the sunshine at Catalan Dragons. Like Sam Tompkins, he didn't think he'd stay here. He's bought a house. He's bought a vineyard. He's living here. That's him forever now, because there's something much more than just nice beaches and sunshine. They love rugby league. It's not a posh area. It's proper down to earth, humble people, grafters like us. I'm from Wigan originally, like you guys in Hull. Normal, decent rugby league folk, and that I think is the thing that keeps people here. You'll come for a couple of years. Yeah, that's the thing for me.
And with Stevie Mack there as well, it's not a holiday, is it? You might have the sunshine, but the players out there on holiday, he's been able to get a fine tune out of them so far. And of course, like we've already mentioned, he's hoping to go that one step further. But when the players go there, they're worked hard, aren't they?
I think obviously Steve's a taskmaster. When he was the England boss, we were so close to becoming world champions and beating the Aussies, and then in the wisdom, the RFL got shut because of one game and got Wayne Bennett in on 3 times the salary. Unbelievable, and went backwards after that. Steve Max is a ruthless professional. He's a tough guy to deal with, but he loves his players and he's got a real warm touch with them. So even though they know they have to do things, he's so protective and cocooning of them in every situation. The respect comes back. What he said is they don't train as much. He doesn't whip them at training, or Matt Parr, the strength and conditioning guy. They don't need to. They seem to have responded to the climate and the ability to run all year round in sunshine on dry pitches. Super fit, to keep themselves fit. They've got their own training regimes at home. So because of all the travelling they do, Steve says they do less training because they spend most of every second week in the air, waiting at airports, etc. So they can't flog them too much. So he is a taskmaster, and he'll demand everything from a player, But at the same time, it's the other way. The street's on the other way. He really looks after them. He's protective, and any criticism gets slapped down very quickly in the press box.
Yeah, I mean, Catalan, it's not a happy hunting ground for the Robins. We've only tasted victory 4 times since 2007, and you have to go back to the 31st of August 2019 for Rovers' last victory, a Danny Maguire inspired win there. Like I said, it's not a happy hunting ground. The fact that we're coming up against a wounded Catalan side after that Challenge Cup defeat to Huddersfield makes that task a little bit harder, doesn't it? Because Stevie Mack will be drilling into them boys. We need to right some wrongs here, and there's no better chance to it than on Saturday. And if you defeat one of your rivals who are challenging for the playoff spots and that top 3 spot, this is a great time to do it. So it's going to be an even harder encounter for the Robins on Saturday night.
I think so. Steve obviously bristling from last week. I've already said that. And as a professional, his pride is wounded. He said he was humiliated. The club was humiliated. He felt it as a coach and embarrassed by that defeat. So you're going to see, it's going to be a really fierce contest for you. I didn't know those stats. I didn't know you hadn't won so many games over here for such a long time. I just remember every time Jordan Abdul comes here, maybe it was in London, just bombing us to death, and Catalan's really under the cosh because of him, I suppose. But I didn't know those stats. I mean, certainly the way you're performing in the last 18 months, 2 seasons, you've every chance. If Catalan's put anything like the performance against Huddersfield, you walk away with it on Saturday. I don't think Steve will allow that. It won't happen. It's going to be a cracking game. I think we all know that, and thank God it's live on Sky. Like last week's game, the Huddersfield game just dropped off a media black hole. Nobody could see it anywhere back. There's no radio coverage, but this is live and livid on Sky on Saturday. It's going to be an absolute belter. You play the kind of rugby league that suit Catalans, and I think expect points and expect big hits. And I think they're pretty disciplined sides at the moment. Bailey Siren has just got away with, was proven innocent of the charge, a grade E charge of a dangerous tackle. So he'll be playing. And Catalans have been pretty good at that. Apart from round 1 where everybody got red cards, Mickey Mack got a 4-match ban. Since then, we've been pretty squeaky, really, squeaky clean. You guys are not so bad on that front too. So a good, clean game, fast flowing, in the sunshine, dry pitch, 1,000 𝗂𝗂𝗯𝗏 fans. It's got, a real cracker written all over it.
Yeah, and this is a different Hull Kingston Rovers side that's travelling down to the south of France now. Willie Peters has got, obviously it's his second season. He's brought some players in who've made a tremendous difference to this Robin side, and they've got, it's something I keep saying on this Robin pod. They've got a steeliness about them. They don't give away cheap points. They don't give away penalties. It's amazing how few penalties they do concede during a game. So this is probably one of the most hotly anticipated games of the season so far. Of course, we're still only 8 rounds into Super League, and of course, you guys defeated St Helens in your last Super League game at home. So the public will be responding to this one. I know you've mentioned there's over 1,000 Hull Kingston Rovers fans expected, so the atmosphere is going to be great, and I'm guessing the Catalan public as well are responding in numbers to this game as well. Yeah,
it should be a decent crowd. Of course, it's not a huge stadium, maximum 12,000, so it'll test that this weekend. A friend of mine called 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗏, he runs Catalan Sports Tours, and he's the guy who brings most of the package tourists over here, puts them up in Lorette, and he's got loads of coaches coming up on Saturday. He reckons there could be as many as 500 independent travellers maybe going through your club or independently. It's got to be a real party atmosphere, like I say, in the sunshine. The people of Perpignan, they've been responding. We've had a couple of 10,000, 11,000 crowds so far this season. And when you think, technically it's a rugby union city too. The local team USAP have been sold out 15,000 for the last 6 games because they're having a good run in rugby union. It's not a rich town. There's not a lot of money, but they spend the money on the Catalan Dragons. So I'm looking 10,500, 11,500 this weekend. Cracking atmosphere, and the club always puts on the fireworks in the razzmatazz. There'll be no bulls on the pitch. There'll be something that'll go wrong or crazy because it's always a bit nuts down here. But it's good-natured and well-meant and very passionate. And so that's why people come. People keep saying, "Why is 1,000 fans going this weekend?" Yeah, it's a weekend away in the sunshine with a few beers around town. But it's the game. It's all around the game, and the animation they put on, the music, the dancing. They really invest into the actual event. It's a bit like yourselves, Craven Street. I look at the mirror image between us. Obviously, the weather's not the same, but you've played to your strength. Catalans played to their strength with the sunshine and this weekend away. You've looked at the heritage and the love and the passion that you've got, and then created some fun at one end of your ground, and it's taken off. And then look at your initiative with Papua New Guinea this week. You've got some creative, exciting people with good ideas at OKR. And I think that mirrors an awful lot of what's going on here at Catalan. So there's a lot of admiration for what you're doing there. Yeah, and I suppose for both sides, Steve, the off-field stuff, is good. It's important. It needs underlining with some silverware, doesn't it? And the Robins go into a tricky run of fixtures. We face, of course, the Dragons on Saturday, and then we take on the Wigan Warriors, St Helens, Warrington. So it's a period of games that are really not define the season, but it'll probably lay down a real good marker for where the Robins are going to be probably come the end of the season. Starting with a victory on Saturday would be absolutely fantastic. We don't know the team news just yet in terms of the squads. Are you expecting many changes from the Huddersfield game on Saturday? Not really. No injuries as such. I don't think anybody limped off. Maybe Mickey Mack could come back. He had that ankle injury from the previous round. So I think you might get Michael McAlorum back in the side, which does make a difference. He doesn't stand out in a game when you watch it from outside, but if you play alongside him, it makes a massive difference because he inspires that defence. I think he'll stiffen things up. Fingers crossed. We'll find out very soon what the squad and the team is. But yeah, Mickey Mack is probably the main change. You get the same spine, mainly French spine. Cesar Rouge will be on the sidelines just in case Nicarima gets a crock. More or less the same team. But as for your run of fixtures, that'll be the big test for you. You just outlined the big games coming up, and you've got cup responsibilities too. That's my big question about OKR. You've got expectation this year after your improvements. You've never had expectation before, and the weight of expectation of winning games can really weigh on a team. This will be your test now, these next few games. If you can deal with expectation of your fans who've been turning out fantastically for you, if you crack that, you will get silverware. See, the Marlaff, the club's going in the right direction. You just got to deal with that. All of a sudden, people believing in you. You're not used to that as a club. Wigan and Saints and Leeds, to a certain respect, have had that for years. Hull have suddenly got some expectation, and that can weigh heavily on your heads. How you respond to that, and I think Billy Peters is good for it. If you respond well to that, you'll go beyond that next level that you want to go beyond. Yeah. Good luck with it.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point that you make, and I do think that this side isn't fearing it. It's embracing it, and it's expecting it almost. It comes with the territory and the players we've got in terms of their experience. You know, even Mikey Lewis, who was so young, it seems like an old head on young shoulders at the moment, the way he's playing. And I do think they're really embracing this pressure, and that's why I do think this game on Saturday it's going to be a cracking encounter, because I think you've got two sides for different reasons. Ultimately, you know, chasing silverware, but this Saturday I do think it's going to be top billing, and you know, the fact it's, you know, prime time, Saturday tea time, there's going to be a big crowd. It's got all the billings, and this is the best of rugby league, isn't it? This is what you're selling to everybody else, to say, come on, put your eyes on this game, because this is what Super League, rugby league is all about.
We had a little chat before we started recording this about marketing and maybe the lack of marketing at the head of the game. If you can't market this game this weekend, Mikey Lewis running around in the sunshine, hugging fans and winning man of the match awards, maybe. If you can't market this, it's going to be a wonderful spectacle of rugby league. We should be flogging this to bits. Genuinely, where's the build-up? Where's the build-up from Super League? Where's all the chat and chatter? It should be on now. Should be pushing this now to get TV viewers. Sky doing their bit. They're covering every single game this season, and that's incredible. The RFL, the Super League, and the marketing people, if there are any, they should be flogging this to death, because what happens on Saturday tea time here evening is going to be a very special thing, and as many people as possible should be introduced. If you can't be there, you should be watching this on TV, because it's going to be an epic sporting event full of fun and sunshine and fans enjoying themselves in a great atmosphere at a top stadium with two teams going at it 100%. Why can't we market that? They should be on it now. Should be having an interview with Mikey Lewis. Should be interviewing all the players at Catalan Dragons and pushing. Just don't see it. Yeah,
well, I'm glad you mentioned marketing, because on the same day, the RFL announced where the Challenge Cup semi-finals would be taking place and on what day. They also announced a double header. England-France international, the men's and women's side will be taking on France on the 29th of June in Toulouse. It actually serves as a triple header, because incredibly, Toulouse will be taking on Featherstone at the same venue on the same day. So it's a triple header. I mean, fantastic that England have got a test international to play, because we just still don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season, whether we're actually going to be taking on Samoa or not. And I think it's in celebration. Is it 90 years of French rugby league as well?
It is, yeah. It's the 90th anniversary of the birth of rugby league in France, and there've been a few events announced, and this was one of it. And the French rugby league announced these fixtures in January, planned, and then the RFL didn't ratify it. I think we're still trying to work out some TV coverage, maybe the BBC or Sky. It looks like it won't be on either one of those, although it will be available on Super League Plus, which is, depending on the prices, it's still good value to watch, particularly if it's 3 games. It just seems a bit silly, there's 3 games. Now, it's great value if you're a spectator and you're traveling to Toulouse. You're going to see 3 games, the men's and women's international. And then some people are saying they're the warm-up for a championship game against Featherstone.
I was going to say, Steve, it's great if you're a Featherstone fan, and you was already planning on travelling over for the game. You've also copped 2 internationals as well.
Yeah, buy one, get 2 free. But at the end of the day, those French players who are playing for Toulouse won't be able to play for France. You know, because they're not going to play 2 games in the same day. So we keep complaining about France playing weakened sides, and then we play a game against England when half the side's unavailable because they're going to play later on that day. It just seemed nuts to me, I must admit. And I don't know what part of the 90th celebrations that creates, but it's good. Look, it's great news. We announced it in January on Catalan Media. It took a while for the English game to ratify. I understand it's not always very easy like that. But like this end of season Samoa situation, nobody knows. It's nuts, isn't it? A phone call and yes or no, that's all we need to know, is it? It's you can't keep fans guessing like this because you've got to plan what you're going to be doing for the rest of the season. But for the double-header, triple-header game at Toulouse, yeah, get your cheap flights are available. I've seen them already. That's going to be a hell of a day in very hot conditions. The 𝗪𝗏𝗏 so I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah,
I mean, it is a crazy situation, isn't it, with Toulouse, because they're either going to give up their French players or they're not. And if they don't, it does weaken that French side. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't expect this to be the strongest England side that'll be travelling over. I think it'll be an opportunity for Shaun Wane to have a look at some maybe fringe players who are on the periphery of the England setup. That said, you know, you want the French side to be the strongest it can be, and the planning and organisation around this, you know, sometimes it is beggars belief, isn't it? How they can get themselves into a situation like this in the first place.
It's tricky, you know. You look at the RFL, they get some stick, and I know the guys at the RFL, they don't deliberately go out to make mistakes or make them look silly. They're trying their best. It's a difficult situation. They deal with the French Federation, which is even more chaotic at times. And again, they're all rugby league supporters, but it just doesn't click. It's not working as a professional organisation as smoothly as it should be. If you're trying to introduce more fans to watch the game, it's all a bit haphazard and made up on the back of a cig packet. It's not good enough. It's simply not good enough. They need to coordinate much better. For me, I don't think there's much communication between the English authorities and the French authorities. You know, they should have got together and discussed this before any announcement. You don't let the French leak it out and then hope for the best with the English. It's just, and then they wonder why people don't turn up. It seems like the authorities don't care too much about it. So why would you go and spend your hard-earned cash to watch a game that nobody seems to care about? Now it's up to us in the media to market this now and sell it like it is. It is an international game between France and England. We all want international games to improve the standard between the nations, but it hasn't happened. You know, the clubs, Catalan Dragons and Toulouse, are not going to release French players when they're paying them a good wage to try and Toulouse to get into Super League and Catalans to win the title. Something's got to give, and that lack of communication between RFL and the French Federation, I think, is the weak link that is stopping this international cooperation from growing any better than it should do. Because it should be, France v England should be the warm-up to improve both nations, but England in particular, for when they play the Kiwis in Australia. They want ferocious contests with the closest neighbours. And it's just not communicated. It's just not clicking. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and Steve, lastly, I mean, I know there'll be a lot of seasoned Hull Kingston Rovers supporters travelling over to Perpignan who have been there many times before. You've already mentioned a lot will be staying in Lorette. For anyone who's maybe travelling over for the first time, is there any spots that they should hit in Perpignan?
Well, traditionally, everybody gathers at the castle in the middle called Le Castellet. But the bar, the famous big bar that they all sing songs in, it's gone bust. They struggled after COVID. I know the owners, sadly, couldn't afford to keep going after COVID. He said the only thing keeping us going was the English supporters who were coming over from the rugby league teams. So the main body of fans now have moved along to the theatre side of Perpignan and a pub called 𝗪𝗏𝗏, which is a brand new new branch of a chain called 𝗪𝗏𝗏 all over Europe. From Belgium, it's a beer pub with a terrace. So they'll assemble probably at 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 bar and sing the songs. Probably about when they get there, the coaches come up from Lorette about kind of lunchtime, early afternoon, and all the independents are there all day. A full English breakfast, Sky Sports on tap. It's a proper home from home. But sun's shining. That's the place where the songs will be. They'll assemble at the Castellet. They'll be hitting the Café Vienne, which is a fantastic city centre restaurant, and hitting the municipal square there. It's just a great weekend.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes on at the ground as well, isn't there, Steve?
Yeah, it's they open 2 hours before the match at the ground, and there's music, and they put palm trees in now. It's like a tropical paradise. They've got live singers on every corner. You can pay now. Fans who've been before will be sick to death of the old plastic token system of buying chips and beer and stuff like that. Got rid of that now. You can still do it if you want to pay cash, but you can pay by card now. It makes life so much easier. And they reckon that every English fan that comes to Catalan Dragons spends on average 5 times more than the local French fan. They go in the boutique and buy a teddy bear and a scarf, and then go and spend a fortune on Guinness and fish and chips. It's always an event. We love it to death when they come over here, especially numbers like that. I mean, what a turnout. You turned out all season for your team at home, and then to go and represent yourselves in such numbers this weekend, should be very proud of yourselves.
James, great insight into rugby league in the south of France. I tell you what, James, while I was listening to that, I was looking at houses, flights, job opportunities. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what. I mean, it sounds idyllic, doesn't it? I mean, like I said, when I was speaking to Steve, I was looking out the window and it was bloody howling down with rain. The wind was blowing, and we're in bloody April. You know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
I mean, James, we've got a terrible record. Let's be honest, at Catalan, aren't we? Down in Perpignan, only 4 wins there since 2007. A victory on Saturday though will make people sit up and start believing and thinking, hey, this Rovers team could really be onto something, won't it?
I think it will. It's going to be probably the toughest game of the season so far, bar none. I think you're right. You know, so Catalan are going to be wounded after getting hammered by Huddersfield last week on the back of a fantastic performance against Saints. So they're going to come out fighting and to try and sort of right the wrong of last weekend. So it is going to be a very, very tough game. But as you say, we've not got the greatest record there. I was fortunate enough to be there in 2019 when say Maguire inspired victory that was hopefully going to keep us up. It was, and then till the week after we played London and made it on squeaky bum time again. But by the same token, would you a victory? Sometime these runs end. So it's 5 years since then. So why not? Why aren't we going to go and win now? We spoke earlier in the pod about that expectation and sort of not just going there with hope, going there with expectation. And Catalans will know they'll have to play their A game against Rovers. We're going to go there with effectively a full strength squad. We're missing Jessie Sue, but we've got Sam Luckley's back, and then potentially George King has made a quicker than expected recovery. So you just sort of say, we've got potential for 2 quality players to come in place of somebody who's suspended, who's going to be suspended. So yeah, it is going to be tough. I think from our perspective, we're probably fortunate that Abdul's not playing because he's been playing out of his skin all season. And as Steve alluded to, he's probably having that break from the crooked pressure that is the city of Hull. That's sort of probably done him a lot of good. And it is, unfortunate that he is injured. But by the same token, Rovers can't worry about that now. He's normally our player, but he ain't going to be playing, so we don't have to worry about. We're not worrying about him. But they have quality across the whole field as well. So we're still going to need to go there and play that 80-minute game that we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah, and for me, James, I mean, when we've gone over to Catalan, the side's either been patched up, we've either been down towards the bottom of the league. There's always been it's never been the best Hull Kingston Rovers side to go across there, has it? Apart from Jessie Sue, this is the strongest possible. As we record this now, we don't know squad news, but Willie Peters already said that Oliver Gildart is in contention. George King's back earlier than he expected, and he should be. He should be in the side. Apart from Jesse and Sam Luckley's back after his suspension, like you've already said. Yeah. This is the strongest. Apart from Jessie Sue, the strongest side going over to Catalan that we've probably ever had going over in our Super League history. So So and this is what I was talking about, the mentality shift in terms of not expecting to win, but almost thinking we're going toe-to-toe on an equal level. That's what I expect. We're going toe-to-toe. And that's why I'm so excited for Saturday, because I think this is going to be a fabulous encounter, just like the Saints Catalan game was.
Yeah, it will be, yeah, definitely.
And that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, same here. I think, he's got, Willie Peters is going to have probably the sort of headache probably every other coach in Super League envies. Like, who is going to leave out? Like, say, if Gildart come back into contention, you then got a choice between ภิkrhu, Gildart, and 𝗬𝗓𝗡𝗁 for two centre spots. You have to say ภิkrhu's probably, he cemented his place. Yeah. But I thought on Saturday, I think 𝗬𝗓𝗡𝗁 had his best game of the season. So you have to think, well, actually, yeah, if he then brings Gildart in and gain his quality instead of 𝗬𝗓𝗡𝗁, he's not going to lose anything in the squad. But he's have to say, well, 𝗬𝗓𝗡𝗁 probably deserves to stay in that squad on what on what he did on Saturday. So yeah, it is just, I couldn't now look at the team thinking who's going to be playing there, because there's an argument for 19, 20 players who could fit into that 17-man squad on match day, and that where they currently are, they would put in they would be putting a very, very strong performance and push Catalans to the maximum, and that's all you can ask for, really.
Yeah, one player who's not going to feature against Catalan is Lewis Senior, 2-week loan deal to Castleford. Probably not a surprise, is it, to see him going to pastures new, albeit on a short-term deal. I mean, don't forget as well with Lewis Senior, and I've seen him, catch some flack. He's so young. He's still a young.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Such a young player, and he's still got the raw talent. He's got the pace. I think defensively, there's a question there around his positioning and where he figured. But in terms of size and what he's got still left in the tank in terms of his age, he's probably someone I'd think is worth keeping around. But going to Castleford for a couple of weeks isn't a bad deal for him.
It's not, and I think he's going to be. He's going to still be getting that Super League experience. He's obviously going to be linking up with his twin Innis, so that's probably going to psychologically going to help him as well. But you're right, there is. I think there is something about him. I think he does get a bit of unfair criticism. We have seen glimpses of what he's capable of. And hopefully, it will help build his confidence. I suppose the question mark is around, well, he's out of contract at the end of this year, so. Is it a question of Rovers giving him the opportunity to put himself in the shop window? If the rumours of Tom Davies coming in for 2025 are true, you'd have to think, well, Tom Davies is going to take one of those wing spots. If Joe Burgess then signs on, you're thinking, Ryan Hall's probably going to potentially retiring if that's what's happening. So you think from a senior's perspective, would he want to potentially hang around as third or even fourth choice in that squad where he probably is at the moment? And it's the right call for him to go out. I think get a bit more experience, build that confidence, and hope this score a few tries while he's there.
Yeah, congratulations to the women's side. They picked up a 24 points to 16 victory over Dewsbury. Great to see them back to winning ways. And I suppose the final point of the podcast, James, should go to Phil Lowe and the ceremony that was at Wilkinson Rovers. I mean, Scott Solway, who's been a regular on the Robin pod, I sent him a little message to say what a fantastic job he did in terms of leading the ceremony, and it's such a tough job to do that. And I know Scott. He led a heartfelt eulogy for Phil and what a player he was. So it's such a sad time for what happened there. But great to see the club recognising what Phil did, and great to see so many people in attendance at his service as well.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's obviously still, you know, sort of very, very sad news, but it was just, it was hard, you know, just great to see that stand packed for the service, and it just really shows how much, yeah. I think the older supporter like myself, you know, can remember Phil in his pomp and you know, clattering defenders out of the way, and actually makes, you know, probably more of the younger fans realise, you know, the heritage that the club's got and the great players we have had, you know, not just done the club proud, but done the city proud. And I think that's the big thing about Phil. You know, he was a whole lad, East Hull lad, and you know, he's gone there and he's gone, you know, played for his local club, and he's basically won everything in the game. And you can't ask for anything. You know, that's, you know, sums the guy up, and yeah, he will be, yeah, his memory's going to live on.
Yeah, Scott, I know you like to listen to the Robin pod when you're in the bath, so I tell you what, give yourself a little, yeah. I tell you what, tip a little bit more Radox in and enjoy that bath for a little bit longer, because Scott, you did a fantastic job. So huge heartfelt thank you from the Robin pod for the job he did there. Right, that's it. That's the end of this week's Robin Pod Weekly, which is, of course, powered by Budget Size Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials, and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. For now, live, love, laugh, and be happy.